Hello and welcome to Protect Your Customers, Boost Your Bottom Line with ADT Cybersecurity. I'm your host, Ed Hannon, and my guests today are John Kabrud, Director, MSP Channel Leader with ADT Cybersecurity, and Marcial, President and CEO with Xperteks Computer Consultancy. I'd like to thank John and Marcial for being here, and just to let everyone know that we're going to jump right into this and get right to the first segment, which is getting through 2020 has definitely not been easy. And John, I'm going to throw this first question to you. There's just so much turbulence going on in the world right now with, whether it's personal, social, economic, health. What are you seeing out there in the world from your seat at the table here?
Sure. I mean, 2020 has been absolutely disruptive, right? And I think a lot of good will come from it down the line. But that's not to sugarcoat the fact that this has been a really tough year for everybody, in addition to folks needing to maintain their professional life, but then as well become a teacher and a caregiver while maintaining all the other things. It's been a really wild year. But from a security perspective, I've seen, obviously, there's an expanded threat landscape, right? You have the distributed enterprise. I don't care if that's a large Fortune company or a smaller law firm or doctor's office in New York. We're still working in a much different environment. So that's the obvious. Some of the changes that I wouldn't really classify them as changes. It's just more of existing trends that are now becoming more amplified, is that the SMB continues to be under attack, right? It's the low-hanging fruit for some of those bad actors right now, because typically the SMB does not have the same level of security as the larger players out there who are more well-resourced, right? So the SMB continues to be under attack. We continue to live in a service-based economy, right? Whether it's a customer of a partner looking more for that consumption-based model, or a partner itself looking more at an OpEx versus CapEx model, we're seeing that amplified. And then also we're seeing amongst our partner base, security is a big, broad, hairy topic, and we're seeing that, okay, we want to continue evolving and bringing new solutions to market that are aligned to the new normal. Do we build that ourselves or do we partner out? So not necessarily a new trend, but something we're seeing certainly amplified by what 2020 has proven to be.
And Marcial, what are you seeing from your seat?
So much change and so much. Coming out of New York City, it was something that it was a big exodus that kind of happened where. Now you don't want to be commuting, you don't want to be part of dense areas. So businesses had to adjust as to how they were going to start working, and having to deal with employees who really, some of them were well equipped to be able to work from home and some of them weren't. So it was an extreme challenge for a lot of MSPs in the beginning to kind of help these companies, make their distributed remote workforces actually functional. So I think that was a big part of it. Also, the working from home and being locked up and and having to deal with the family and the kids, and it's a big adjustment for everyone. And to be able to continue to do this business, whether your business was in the technology business or it was from some other type of business, our clients are still trying to find their footing in this new environment. But they're for those that are not in the restaurant business, that I feel really bad for, that are being hit tremendously. Some of the other ones that can do it are doing still really well because the technology was there to help them.
It's a great point. Those are both great points you made, and both you made. And it's funny how they say sometimes like one person's problem is another person's solution. I think in the tech space, a lot of us are dealing with the sort of inherent juxtaposition that like we sort of juggle both of those things in our own houses. Like we have the technology to solve the problems that this is causing, but we're still dealing with other problems at home that technology can't always fix. But John, I'm going to pivot back to you for this next question, and then Marcial, I'll tag you in as well. John, how are your partners, and then Marcial, how are your customers surviving all this chaos?
Sure. It kind of reminds me of that old 1984 Super Bowl ad from Apple, right? Think different. I think coming, both within 2020 as well as coming from 2020, when we get out of this, there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers, right? It's kind of that survive versus thrive. And what I'm seeing is those that have embraced new business models have really fallen into that thrive category. 2020 has been a challenge for everyone, and ADT is no different than anyone else. Specifically driving new business, it's a challenge this year. So the partners that we have seen succeed the most are the ones that have brought new ideas to market and also gotten rid of the ongoing kind of management, the day-to-day tasks, so they can free up their time to focus on what's core to the business right now, which is finding new business opportunity. Because finding new business is always a challenge, but it certainly was heightened and amplified this year. So taking all of the day-to-day task that consumes your most precious resource, your time, offload that so you can go out and drive more business in a challenging time.
And Marcial, how about from how are your customers, surviving all this chaos?
Interestingly enough, so because the commute to the city was it's basically gone, our customers are finding that their employees are a lot more productive, and now they're starting to establish this work-life balance, right? Some who were on the fence that were against telecommuting or against working from home are now seeing how well they're doing by this whole thing, and they're actually starting to thrive in it, and they're adjusting to it. I think that everybody's still kind of crawling a little bit. They're not really running just yet, but they're starting to find their footing in this area. So I think that there are going to be a lot of customers right now who are starting to look and seeing what really is important to their business, and what is it that their needs are, as opposed to your traditional office environment that they were all used to. So I think that now customers are being more open-minded as to how to go about looking for new business, doing a lot more stuff digitally now, just because now the opportunity has presented itself, rather than doing the in-person conference PowerPoint presentation type thing. So I think the adjustment is real, and I think that there's going to be a lot of new companies and emerging companies that are coming out of it, who are going to address the spaces between that businesses need to be able to accomplish what they're looking to do.
It's interesting because when we talk about the chaos, I think one of the things was that the virus sort of hit everyone in different ways. Like, depending on where you were and what you were doing, it kind of impacted everything. But then there was an adjustment period. Then there's sort of a settling period where things have settled. And I think even as we sort of come out of this as a society, there's going to be an adjustment period. And some, if you're in, depending who's getting, like if there's a vaccine, who's getting the vaccine? Is it, certain cities are getting it versus rural customers? So it will be a transition back into normal, but the transition could be as sort of uneven as sort of the adjustment coming out of what was normal. So just some thoughts, from where I'm sitting. But John, how are ADT Cybersecurity Solutions, the stuff that you work with every day, helping your partners navigate through all this chaos?
I think the core thing is one, during this chaos, I mentioned earlier, it was challenging to drum up new business opportunities, right? People are not in a spend or invest mode right now. So being able to enable partners to leverage the ADT brand when they go to market, having that 146-year-old $5 billion revenue Fortune brand behind them certainly is of value. I think at the product level, we are enabling partners to provide products that are incredibly differentiated. One example is our managed SIM or MDR as a service. That's a technology that has traditionally been reserved for the largest of the large, right? It's an expensive technology to buy and manage, and it has a consumption-based model, so the pricing fluctuates. It's just not a great fit for the traditional SMB play. That is a problem that ADT has solved and enabled our partners to then take that to market. So it's very aligned with things like Marcial is doing in New York with the SHIELD Act. Third, not only the technology is differentiated, but our pricing and financing options, for lack of a better term, are very differentiated. A lot of partners have been asking for a long time to have something as simple and straightforward as a managed firewall on a month-to-month basis. That has not really been widely available in the market. It now is. And then last, in addition to all of these great technologies we're enabling partners to go to market with, we're also taking care of the management and the labor on the back end. So Marcial doesn't sit there and get excited about, wow, I can now bring in a SIM solution to my clients in New York. He can now take a managed SIM to his clients and not have to worry about the 24/7 365 ongoing management and maintenance. That's something that we do. So all of that together, we believe, helps the partners, as well as some of the more programmatic things, which we'll touch on around our channel partner program.
Excellent. And then Marcial, I'm going to bring you back in here for this next question. Real simple. I mean, the cybersecurity landscape is crowded, I think, by all accounts. There's a lot of players out there. When you were sort of going through this process, what was it that made you want to partner with ADT Cybersecurity?
Sure. So you have to keep in mind that we were a managed service provider. Now we're in our 19th year, and every managed service provider always offered some type of security, right? And we were always there to protect our clients, no matter what, whether it was coming with AV or making sure we were managing the firewall. However, now that cybersecurity is so much so that there are even other companies who are created their MSSP out of it. We traditionally were always a managed service provider, and we knew what we did well, right? And for us to build out an entire division to do cybersecurity was something that was expensive to do, especially in New York. And it's a big, heavy lift, right? In the end, we're always, at the end, we're always talking to our customers about trust, right? And then why would a customer trust our company with cybersecurity? And this is one of the main reasons why we partnered up with ADT Cybersecurity, because we're coming in with a trusted name, right? A trusted brand. So when we're coming in and saying, not only are we going to leverage the experience that we have in managing your networks, we're also going to give you access to an enterprise team of cybersecurity professionals with an advanced security operations center that will not only help us help you not be secure and be more effective and productive, right? So the idea for us is, why am I going to build out something that was very expensive and roll the dice and go through all the growing pains that I already went through as becoming an MSP, when I can have a trusted name like ADT Cybersecurity come in and give that enterprise access, right, to our SMB customers. So for us, it was a strategic play that I think will work very well for us.
Excellent. And let's move to the next section, shielding your customers from cyber attacks. And Marcial, I'm actually going to stay with you on this first question.
Sure.
We were talking when we were sort of planning this program. One of the things you brought up, which I thought was really cool, and I just didn't know much about, was the SHIELD Act in New York. And I understand that that's a really big deal with your customers. What can you tell us about it for those of, for the rest of the country that may not be as familiar with it as you are, so sitting so close to it?
So it's interesting. So it wasn't a big deal to our customers until they knew about it, right? And that really is the big key, right? So the New York SHIELD Act, which is the Stop Hacks and Improve Electronic Data Security Program, this was a legislation that came out of Senator Kevin Thomas. And it actually passed in 2019, but it became effective March of 2020. Now, what happened in March of 2020? Basically, this whole pandemic thing really hit. New York was at the epicenter of it all, and we were in the midst of a complete lockdown. So there was absolutely no awareness around this law. And what this law is a data privacy law that now companies must have a data security program that protects them from they have to have administrative administrative safeguards, technical safeguards, and physical safeguards that are now prescribed by New York State. This is the first time a cybersecurity regulation has actually prescribed what they need to do and what companies need to do. And now it affects every single business in New York State. Now, interestingly enough, it also affects any business that works with New York City residents. So if you're a business that is out in Texas, but you're using New York resident private data to run your business for whatever reason, you are now subject to this SHIELD Act. And now what can happen is that if there's a breach for whatever reason, you must be able to report this breach to the Attorney General's office, and failure to do so not only will cost you in remedying the breach, securing it, but you can get fined up to $250,000 for not having this data program in place. So what we're doing is really starting to educate our customers and our incoming prospects about this law. And maybe they haven't had a chance to look at their data security program in the last year or so, but and they've maybe done a couple of different things, but they haven't really looked at what it needs to be to comply with this, and they may be at risk, right? And at the end of the day, this is what's going to strengthen their business, protect their customers, right, and allow them to avoid any penalties from the states that are coming in. Also, what's really interesting, and this is something that they took what California was doing, which was the CCPA, and they kind of expanded it a little bit more, because now they're defining what private information is. And it's not even just about, hey, did we actually take private information from that business? It's just even having access to it. So if you have access to private information, that's considered a breach under this new regulation. And now all the states are starting to put out regulations about data privacy, because now we're in this environment where everybody's distributed, and security has to be one of the most important things. So for us, this is one of them, also a major reason why we partner with ADT Cybersecurity, to give us that scale to be able to not only apply this to the New York SHIELD Act, but to also other regulations that can be coming up in the future.
And that's a great point. I want to pivot back to John for this. So John, to what Marcial just said, how can ADT Cybersecurity Solutions help your partners and their customers not only comply with the SHIELD Act, but others like it that are going to start popping up all over the country?
What Marcial is doing with the SHIELD Act is incredible. It's tackling such an important, relevant, and topical item right now in the largest metro area in the country, right? So where ADT is helping, and this is something, Marcial mentioned, scale, right? It's that layered defense, right? It's MDR, SIM, firewall, email, VPN, all of the technologies that are required to protect data. But what I think is really cool, Marcial has been a leader on this, is there's the physical safeguards, the physical safeguard components of the SHIELD Act, right? So that's where folks like Marcial are also leveraging some of the core ADT lineage product, right? IPsec cameras, access control, intrusion prevention, right? Because as a partner, it bolsters Marcial's position in protecting businesses in New York, but it also gives him an opportunity to have that incremental growth to his business, because essentially anything that has an IP address or touches the network is an opportunity for Marcial to manage and grow his business without that capital outlay, right? So it's all about profitability. So I think from the customer and partner perspective, together, Marcial is onto something really special here, and it's going to grow like wildfire, not only in New York. You're going to see this repeat and evolve across the country as more regulation is released.
And Marcial, I'm going to come back to you for the next question, which is, how has ADT Cybersecurity helped enable you to launch such a strategic initiative to help New York-based businesses?
Well, think about it, right? So now we have to help them create a data security program that is now compliant with the New York SHIELD Act, right? And now that with those prescribed technical, administrative, and physical safeguards, we can actually help businesses provide a complete data security program for them. And we're able to advise them. We're able to let them know these are the missing pieces that are part of it. And if they don't have those pieces to the data security, I can supply those pieces as well. And alongside with not just any company, but ADT Cybersecurity, right? A major company that I can scale up, and I can use, whether it be in New York or whether they have branch offices in San Francisco, Chicago, Florida, it doesn't matter. So we're able to now provide something that's on the national scale that is not so geographically constrained. So for us, it really is a superior advantage to be able to work with ADT cybersecurity. It gives us the authority to be able to work with professionals, right? Because they have a full bench of cybersecurity professionals, which, I think that they're in the negative digits for unemployment right now. Like, you can't find cybersecurity professionals. ADT already has a full bench that's available to us to be able to, and that really is the magic to it, right? Is to be able to give our customers access to these professionals, but to do it at an affordable cost and allow us to provide our services as well.
That reminds me, for some reason, there was this, when I grew up in Rhode Island, there was this ad that they used to run on TV all the time about this technical school. And it would say, be one of our graduates or compete with one. And it makes me think with ADT, it's like, be an ADT cybersecurity partner, or you're going to end up competing with them. So it's better to be with them than against them. But how have you, Marcial, also ensured that your customers are adequately protected?
So there's different pieces, right? There's different pieces to the data security program, and we get a lot of it from ADT cybersecurity, right? And what we did was we built upon all the different layers that we were already doing with our customers from day one, right? So you cannot have a good data security program unless you do it into different layers. And we partner up with other major partners like SonicWall and like ID Agent, who help us, build out all these different pieces to it, so I can have that complete data security program for them, even down to security awareness training. We're able to give access to. So there's all these different components are what we put together, so we can build a robust data security program that will comply not only with just the SHIELD Act, but with other regulations as well, right? And what we're doing is we're really helping our customers really just understand what is it that they need to be able to evidence in case that they were audited, or in case that to provide the evidence that they have a program that's in place. And they have to remember that there's also, every single company must have a designated person that needs to be in charge of this. It's not going to be us. It's going to be that person who's now accountable for that company's cybersecurity. And that person needs to be able to have access to these documents at arm's length, so be able to know what's going on or be able to present to upper management. So that's how we are there to help them.
Excellent. And let's move to our next segment, which I titled, Powerful Production Produces Positive Partnerships. And we're going to talk about the partner program, and that's your partnership and everything else. But let's look forward. We've looked at the present. Let's look forward. Can each of you tell me, and I'll start with you, John, how 2021 looks as we put this program together for your partners? How's it looking right now?
I am incredibly bullish on 2021. I think that, in addition to the obvious being that we're going to be through the challenges that 2020 has presented, just in general, it's going to be a really strong year. We're going to take a lot of the challenges that we've lived through and worked through. We're going to learn from them, and it's going to be really interesting to see what we build and develop out of this. Relative to the world I live in with ADT Cybersecurity leading our MSP channel, I'm seeing, this is a relatively new channel, and I'm seeing tremendous awareness, interest, growth in partners for all the reasons that Marcial has been kind enough to talk about it, to come to us to help them grow their business, right? Because at the end of the day, ADT Cybersecurity is all about enabling our partners to protect their customers and grow their RMR and profitability quickly and profitably. So I see that, the hockey stick is forming, and I'm going to continue. I expect to continue seeing that, throughout the balance of 2021.
And Marcial, from where you're sitting, how does 2021 look for your customers?
I actually agree with John on this. I think that you have to remember that the economy was artificially stopped. I think that the businesses that are out there, and there are customers who are out there who are being very conservative, rightfully so, to try to weather this business storm, right, are going to be poised to really accelerate in 2021. So I think that not only for our customers and for us as well, right? There are so many right now. I think that there's a lot of different businesses who are either in the midst or finalizing their planning stages as to what 2021 is going to look like, and they spent a lot of this time doing that planning and that strategic planning for the eventuality that are going to come out on the other side of this. So I think that it should start happening in 2021, and like John said, I'm extremely bullish on that as well.
I've told people this for a few months, around town here, but I feel like this is the year that turned us into our parents. Basically, your parents always say, when I was young, we had this problem, that problem. I feel like this is the year that did that to us. And, but to your point, I think a lot of, whether it's in your own life or, as a business, I think a lot of the stuff you do when the chips are down really propel you forward. It's like, how does some succeed where others fail? It's getting through this kind of stuff and how you come out of this that propels you forward. Because depending on how you sort of approach it. But John, Marcial, rather, what's the state of your partnership right now with ADT Cybersecurity?
Oh, to me, right now, ADT Cybersecurity is a key strategic partner. I cannot go into 2021 or further in the future without them. There are certain partners that we have that we call key strategic because they are the core base of our tool set, or they're the core base of our service. ADT Cybersecurity is that on that level of strategic partnership for us. I mean, moving forward, we're looking to grow with them and sort of expand as John started expanding the different services that he's going to do in ADT Cybersecurity. We're there with them, right? I mean, they've been extremely helpful with us. They've helped us launch our compliance management services for the New York Shield Act. They were a key part in making that happen for us. So we're very thankful. And we really value our relationship with ADT Cybersecurity.
Excellent. And then, John, I'm going to close with you. How has the ADT Cybersecurity Partner Program evolved, and how will it continue to evolve, in the coming year?
Sure. We've talked a lot about 2020, right? And there's been challenges, but one of the opportunities we've had at ADT since I came on board was to hit a bit of a pause and really take inventory and evaluate where we were as a channel program. And we had some gaps that we needed to address. Specifically, we did not have a proper channel program really until September, but we launched in November. It is a very simple and straightforward program. It's a 3-tier system that, as partners such as Marcial continue to grow with us, we unlock incremental value in the form of MDF or lead gen opportunities, sales and technical resources at the field level. And with that partner program, it's also important that we know our business. We have our arms around it, but we certainly don't have it around. We don't have our arms around the business to the level that somebody like a Marcial or our partners have. They have a different set of perspective. So we want those folks involved with us in the form of a partner advisory council or just ad hoc conversations. Marcial and I have a standing meeting every week. I need to know what's important to him, because I'm not building a program for the sake of building a program. I'm building a program to enable guys like Marcial to grow, right? If is a program that is deliberately dependent on our partners for growth, we're not going to grow unless our partners grow. So that constant ongoing feedback is really important. So that's what we've built. It's a dynamic, iterative process. We are going to change the program as our partners request and what's needed to ultimately drive their business forward. But we have the framework. That's what we're entering 2021 with, and we're excited about it.
You guys have got me excited. This 2020 has been a crazy year. It's been off the rails in a lot of ways, but I feel hopeful and optimistic for 2021. So I want to thank both of you for cheering me up a little bit. And I want to thank all of you. First of all, Marcial and John, thank you for being here. Thanks everyone for watching. Once again, my name is Ed Hannon, and you've been watching Protect Your Customers, Boost Your Bottom Line with ADT Cybersecurity, presented by ADT Cybersecurity. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.